Hello. Hello.
Hey, how's it going there, brother?
Dropping audio bombs.
Audio bombs.
Here we are. Here we are. We're back. I mean,
It's kind of
I missed us.
I missed us too.
Yeah.
It's been,
Been crazy.
a crazy week.
Busy
week. A lot going on in the world.
Mm-hmm. Snow.
And here we are with our little milestone, episode 10.
Is it a milestone?
It's. I think that's a milestone of some sort.
Will be 10 mile.
10 milestone.
I wanted to talk a little about last week's. I talked to someone who listened to the podcast.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
A young female.
Oh, nice.
She said she laughed out loud because she had experienced some similar things to our flavor stories.
Right.
So she enjoyed it. She had positive things to say.
Nice.
So I thought that was pretty good. It's a good sign. It looks like we're striking some nerves.
Well, yeah, this might not be everybody's cup of tea, but tea is good.
I didn't get tea this time.
Oh my goodness sakes!
I'm not complaining.
I am so sorry.
I'm not complaining.
We should explain to people this is a mad rush. Both of us are doing this over our lunch hours, and the reason being is Randall Lobb is like flying away literally tomorrow to some far off land.
I'm going down to I don't want to say the name of the place because I don't want to promote one place over another, but I'm going down to a dolphin park.
Nice.
Where you can pick your own dolphin and then you can have it served any way that you want.
That's awesome. Very nice.
My kids are excited about trying it as a kind of a sushi, not a sashimi exactly, but more like in a hand roll. Whereas my wife she's keen to try it as just a roast or a haunch, I guess. I'm interested in having it canned with tuna and having it with mayonnaise and Dijon mustard. So
nice.
That'll be fun.
Awesome.
That'll be a fun trip for the kids. On a more sober note, we want to talk today about. In fact, the hustle doesn't know what I have.
No, we should actually explain that maybe to the listeners.
Open the process.
The way this works, I come into this totally blind every time, and Rand there usually has a topic or two, and
a topic or one
even. And he just throws it out there. This is not scripted, and I know it sounds very articulate.
It seems
and intelligent,
like it's
and it's like we have teleprompters and all that. But ladies and gentlemen, this is live.
This is it, and it's so live that sometimes when we look at it later, we think we shouldn't release that because it's too live. It's too raw. You know?
Yeah, you're
like
definitely more self-critical than I am.
I'm very self-critical.
I'm just very happy to to have this opportunity.
You're just happy to be here.
Yeah,
I'm very self-critical, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. I had a little conversation with my wife the other day. We were out for a very rare moment driving together. It's very rare that we spend time together, which is one of the ironies of marriage, I think, that you marry someone so that you can not spend time with them. Right. What are you pointing at?
You just keep doing. I'm going to fix something. I just noticed.
Is it episode 111?
It's 10,011.
Wow,
that would have been a milestone.
That's
those of you watching the video, you probably just saw it magically change on the screen.
That was amazing.
I love it. Anyway,
what I wanted to get at today is, as I said, linked to having a conversation with my wife. And this was the central question I asked her. I actually said I envied her. Do you actually do things, or do you watch yourself do things?
Are you asking me or your wife?
I'm asking. I asked her the same thing.
I do both, I think. I mean, most of the time, I am just doing things.
So you actually do things?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I definitely have those moments where I'm outside of myself, watching myself do things. But those are the times, only the times when I'm thinking. And most of the jobs that I'm involved with they're more machine-like.
Yeah.
And so I find that those kind of things that I'm doing, I'm more just doing it. I'm not outside of myself. I can't spare the brain power to be outside of myself watching. I have to focus in on the coding or on the editing or whatever it is I'm doing.
Right. I'm never in myself.
Interesting.
And I was envious of that. Well, we were driving somewhere. I don't want to get into detail because I'm about to cast aspersions on somebody. This was within the last few weeks. We were driving somewhere with someone, and the subject matter in the vehicle as we were driving was, I don't know, it was typical. Like, you're talking about things that are whatever's happening in people's lives.
Right.
But as we're driving, the woman who's driving the vehicle, I noticed she's a bad driver.
Right.
And she is varying speeds, and she's braking late, like coming up to a stop sign and then braking at the last minute sort of thing. So you're really, and I can't not be in the vehicle thinking about this driving. And I looked at my wife and I made a face like as if to say, whoa, she's really driving.
Right,
She's
right.
really driving. And my wife looked back at me with no recognition. And then later we went somewhere with some people and we were doing a bunch of stuff. And again, I was thinking about what we were doing, and she
Right.
was just doing it.
Yeah.
And so we're driving home and she said, well, that was fun. And I said, yeah, except for, and I started bringing these points like, did you notice this? She said, nope. Did you notice that? Nope. Did you notice this? Nope. Did you notice any of the things I said? Nope. I think you made it up. And then I realized, because my wife's not a dumb person.
Of course not.
She's just doing the things that she's doing.
Sure.
So when she's riding in this car talking to these people, she's actually
talking.
doing that.
Yeah, she's not conscious of the driving and what else, everything else that's going on.
Every other thing. And I thought, I think I must be broken.
Yep.
So I wanted to go back and talk about a time in youth for both of us.
Sure.
I know we must have been through this because we talked about the time in the pool when you wore the shirt because you had a sunburn.
Right.
So that kind of self-consciousness.
Sure.
But you mustn't have it anymore.
No,
But do you remember
obviously.
Obviously. You have no sunburn anymore.
Obviously, that's true. In fact, I think there's people that are close to me that wish I was more conscious of how I appear.
Really?
And I mean, I am nicely shaven today, but
Yeah.
that's a very rare occurrence. Like it was like, you know what? I need to have a shower this morning and shave.
Specifically a shower.
Not for the podcast, just because it made me feel better. But usually those things aren't that important.
But
to me.
you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And as a young person, definitely I felt very, very self-conscious of how I looked.
That was a lot of mouse sound that you just made.
I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry.
Did you want me to go into detail about that
I
right
do.
now?
I want
or
that's,
do you want me to
no, I want to know.
next
Well, I
question?
want to next question. Yes, further to that. No, I want you to go into detail. Like I want to get into the specifics of that.
Well,
because I obviously must still have it to some degree. Obviously not the physical part.
I definitely still have it in other ways, but to go into my childhood and younger life, this really didn't affect me probably till I was like 12, 13, right? And that's really maybe as a young man, that's when you start feeling a little bit self-conscious. And I say that, I'll say this first. I remember when I was in grade 9, getting my first pair of store-bought jeans.
Do you know what's funny is I thought you were going to say my first period. That's getting my first pair. Yeah. That's what I heard in my head. I thought, what are we about to learn?
Yeah, well, there's something I haven't told anybody.
Just wait, your first pair of store-bought jeans
and
in grade 9.
And how big of a deal that was. And this is what I'm about to say. It has no slant against my parents at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite.
You're always very careful to say this.
I am, because they created an atmosphere for me and my brothers and sisters, all 8 of them,
right,
to never feel like we were in need or whatever. And
right.
And up till I was about 13 years old, most of the clothes that I owned were clothes that showed up in magic garbage bags, once a month.
What would be the magic part about it?
The magic part was, my dad, who was a preacher, a traveling preacher, he'd be somewhere speaking and someone would go, "Oh, look at that guy. He's got 8 kids at home. I've got some clothes at home." And they'd hand him a bag of clothes to bring home.
Right.
And it was always actually, for us as kids, a really exciting
fun time.
It's like bag, dump on the floor, grabbing everybody, putting stuff into piles and figure, that's for me. That'll fit me. No, I want that. And of course, as we all started, not all of us, but some of us were kind of the same size.
Right.
You'd be fighting over things and all that. So all of my clothes were either those kind of clothes, like
cast-offs, hand-me-downs.
Or when I was even younger, they were made by my mother.
Nice.
And
so your mom was obviously good enough at making clothes that you weren't just wearing robes.
Exactly.
But that would be wild if you're wearing robes.
Yeah.
You're looking for something as if you have a photo to prove
I
this.
definitely have photos of that, whether it's worth me trying to dig
Well,
for
you
them.
can look for them, but while you're doing that, I'll have to pick up the slack.
You would.
Obviously.
So anyway, I remember my first pair of GWG jeans, and it was a very significant. They were GWGs.
Yeah. Scrubbies?
Yeah, probably were scrubby. I can't
Isn't that
remember.
what they were called? Am I dreaming?
Before that, I actually had some other pants that were tough skins.
I hated those.
But they weren't jeans. Like, they were more like, they were brown and like,
Oof.
they weren't cool, eh?
No.
And being cool didn't matter till I was 13. So it was a big deal when my mom bought me a pair of GWs. I'll tell you, and I still do this to this day, and this is maybe why. I wore those things day in and day out.
Oh, really?
You know, like wore them out because I felt like I was like everybody else who would always come home from Christmas. Like after Christmas break, they would come home and say, "Hey, I got all these cool clothes for Christmas. What did you get?" You know, and half the time I remember actually making up things, you know, like, and then, you know, I got this shirt, this nice blue velour shirt. And
so you'd come up with a story to cover.
Yeah. You know, and I like velour. I know it's not in style, but I like velour.
Because you're trying to save some face and you feel awkward.
Sure. You know, and that's probably just an age thing, for sure.
No, I don't know. I think that's part of it's the age, but part of it's that you are being compared to people, even in your own mind, who have things that you don't have. And the standard for what's good or bad has to do with these brands or, you know, external markers.
For sure.
Well, for me, it was similar and different. I guess, obviously, my parents were well enough off to, you know, buy clothes or whatever. I don't remember really thinking about clothes a whole lot, but I do remember thinking about clothes at a point probably when I was in grade 5 because I fell in love.
Right.
With a woman. I won't say her name, Glenda. Actually, I will say her name. And Glenda, she won't listen to this, will she?
Oh, it's hard to say.
Glenda, are you out there?
I just reconnected with somebody from years ago up through the podcast.
Glenda?
It wasn't Glenda.
Oh. Well, I loved Glenda in grade 5. I was in the portable. I had loved girls before this. In fact, this is something that actually distresses my wife, is that I loved girls from the time I was 3 or 4. Like I wanted to have a girlfriend.
Right.
Since I was when I was 4, I had a girlfriend and her name was Anita and she was older. And I remember literally having dates with her. We'd go out back into the rhubarb patch and pick rhubarb and I'd have a little handful of salt and you'd rip the rhubarb. You remember this? And you'd dip the rhubarb in salt and then eat it.
Right.
And then you'd give yourself diarrhea from eating so much rhubarb on your date. And I remember, you know, just really, really enjoying being a man who had a girlfriend and feeling that it was a good thing. And I don't think I put it together with clothes that it would be a factor until about grade 5.
Right.
And I was about 10 or 11 and I just fell hard for Glenda. And I think that I liked Glenda because she had dark hair and really light skin. And she looked like she needed to be protected.
Right.
And I had this ongoing dream. It was a recurring dream that she was trying to cross the road and there was a dump truck coming. And in the dream, it was a garbage truck, but it was a dump truck.
Right.
And I remember smelling the garbage and thinking, that's the dump truck. That's the garbage truck. And Glenda's going out in the road. And then I would run out and push her out of the way. And she would go flying. And then I would be hit by the dump truck.
Right.
And crushed.
And you saved her life.
And I would drag myself off the road and I would look up at her and I'd have these wrecked legs. And I would look up at her and she would look down at me and I would think, in the dream, I would think, it was worth it. So I kept, and I by the way, those exact words, it was worth it. And I was bleeding out, you know, and looking up into Glenda's very pale skin.
Nice.
And the skin of her face, not just looking up at like her knee or something. And so I thought, as I was in my daily life, I needed to improve my look and I need to get a handle on this.
Right.
So I got this razor blade necklace.
Nice.
Which I thought would be, it would be a great trick if I had a razor blade necklace And I remember thinking, this is something like Gene Simmons would wear.
Right.
Gene Simmons would totally wear a razor blade necklace.
No doubt.
And he has tons of chicks.
And he was your dad, right?
That was the next year that I had that dream.
Okay.
So I wear this razor blade necklace to school, and I have... Do you remember when you'd wear a shirt that it was like, I think it was called satin?
Yeah.
But it was like so shiny.
It was like silky,
but it was polyester.
Right, I do.
And it was really thin.
Those, yes.
And then it would make you sweat a lot.
Yes,
and
very
then
much
stick
so.
to your fat body.
Totally remember that.
And then they would stink because you're just starting to get your man stink on.
Yeah. I do remember those.
And your hygiene maybe hasn't caught up with your polyester shirt.
Right.
Well, that's what I was wearing, and it had a wide collar, and it had a pattern that was brown, but it had blue things in it that looked like peacock feather eyes. You know, the eye in the middle of a peacock feather.
Do.
It had those. And I was wearing that shirt, and I was wearing my razor, and I remember thinking, I look good. I look good. But not like, I wasn't saying it because I thought I looked good. I was more like saying, I look good, right?
Right, everybody.
I look good. And I remember looking in the mirror and thinking, this works. And everybody feathered their hair. They parted their hair in the center and feathered it straight back.
Oh, yeah.
But my hair didn't do that because I had curly hair. So my hair would always be one side flat and the other side curling up. And it wouldn't part in the center. It parted in the side. You just wouldn't do anything correctly.
Yeah.
At the exact same time, you told me that. And do you remember the shoes you wanted at the time? North Stars.
See, shoes were in the same category as the pants.
You just keep getting shoes.
And shoes have never really been anything. Yeah, it's like they're at my feet. Who's going to look at my feet? I actually have never really cared about shoes.
Well, apparently women look at men's feet.
Apparently they do, and if that's the case, I am screwed.
Well, you're married already. Your wife's very beautiful, so
it's true. But
and I'm married already. I'm married already, and my wife's very beautiful. So we've lucked out. So what we're talking about worked. It was successful. We were right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had this shirt and I had these shoes that I was desperate to get, these North Stars that were a certain kind of shoe. And I said to my mom, I need some new pants to go with this shirt and this razor blade. But I didn't word it quite like that. And so we went down to this men's store called Gerard's in Clinton.
I remember Gerard's. Is it still there?
No.
I
think it's a medical supply store.
In fact, it was here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Godrich, yeah.
And I remember thinking it was so exotic because the guy who ran it, his name was Saul Jarofsky.
Very nice.
And I remember thinking he might be like from a World War II country. Like that's what's in my head.
Right.
I guess what I was dealing with was that he might be Jewish, but I didn't know enough to know that.
Right.
I just, in my head, he's from a World War II country.
And we should say, if you want to go back to an old podcast, I Wish I Was Jewish.
Oh, we could talk about that
later.
We
could, but that gives some context. And when Rand says the Jew thing, he is saying it.
That's not a joke.
It's not a joke. Like he aspired to be one. He loves Jews.
Was desperate to be Jewish.
Yeah, but that's a whole other podcast.
That's a separate podcast. That's
like episode 3 or something. Like
this was a phase that I don't know that this phase has gone away yet. I still have that desire to be Jewish. But the thing is, you can't just join. You can't just call somebody up and say, "Hey, what's going on? Can I be Jewish? Like, can I come down and join up?" I don't think that works.
I don't know. I suppose religiously you could.
I don't think they accept that. They don't proselytize. They don't bring new ones in.
But there's people that are Anglo-Saxon that are Jewish, like that are married to a Jew, or
So I would have had to marry a Jewish woman.
Yeah, so
and then I would have.
And here I'm not speaking with any authority on this, so. All of our Jewish friends, if you want to correct us, if there's any chance for Randall especially, and if he became Jewish, I'd probably consider it as well.
You could. We're two good catches. I think we would be good catches.
Oh, fantastic!
Here's the thing. I had an opportunity to date a girl who was Jewish, and I could have been in then.
Yeah, if in fact that's
true,
real,
Needless to say, Saul Jarofsky was the guy's name, and all I thought of was like World War II countries, and I think I was thinking like Poland or East Bloc kind of stuff before the East Bloc. But anyway, so here's Saul Jarofsky, and I go down there with my mom, and we're going to get these pants, GWG, tough skins.
Interesting.
But this is when I came to the realization that I wore husky sized. Do you remember that feeling?
Well, I know my big butt was very tight in my GWGs, and I had them pretty tight as well, because that was kind of the style, back then. And it was very uncomfortable. That's the thing about then, you would wear things that were uncomfortable to be cool, where now I just want to be comfortable. Comfort over, what's the word?
Form over fashion?
Yeah, form over fashion.
You want the form of it, the value.
I would rather have the feeling of I don't feel uncomfortable. I can't wait to get out of these clothes. I'd rather...
what, right now?
Yeah, right now. But then it was like, if
why do you want to get out of these clothes? What is it?
No, I don't want to. These are comfortable.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You were in a scenario where you were wearing uncomfortable clothes.
Back when we were younger.
Well, I was going to get these GWG Toughskins, and I wanted flare bottoms because this is 1975.
Nice.
And I knew Glenda would love that razor blade, but I've got to have the bottoms to match the stuff that I'm wearing up top. So he starts pulling out jeans, and I say, I want with the skinny legs and the wide flare at the bottom. Now, he's looking at my two legs, and he's thinking, those fat little tree trunk legs, it's like it's sausage. I'm trying to jam them, pour those legs into these tight pants. It's never going to work. And so he says to my mom over my head, he says, he's going to need Huskies. And I looked up, and I wasn't a lot smaller than him. I was just bigger than my mom. I looked up at him and I said, what? Huskies? And he said, he's going to need Huskies. And he looked down at me and he said, you got to get pants that fit. You're never going to cram yourself into these.
That's hilarious.
And I could just feel like the first stirrings of how this was going to go. So I got some pants, and I took them into the change room, and I put them on, and they felt like they were an inch thick. Do you remember that feeling?
Yes.
It felt like there couldn't be more material in these pants.
Those had to have been Toughskins.
Yeah. They're enormous.
Oh my God, yes.
They were huge and thick, and I wanted them to be faded and thin and tight and to flare at the bottom. And these didn't flare at the bottom. They flared all the way up to your waist. You know what I'm saying? Yes. They were giant. It was like a column of denim. And I looked at, this is not right. It looks like my pants are 6 inches, 6 feet across. Like it looked like I was wearing a dress.
Nice.
And I walked out and I said, this is ridiculous. And he said, I think they look great. They fit great. And then he put his hand down in the back and he kind of pulled up on them. I said, what's happening? I'm not a piece of meat. I didn't say that, but I was looking up at my mom and she said, they look tough. I said, yeah, they look tough. They're an inch thick. They're like plate mail. This is ridiculous.
That'd be great for hiking maybe, or rolling around.
Except that when you move your legs, you have to kind of waddle because there's so much material. Yeah, and they're huge.
Sound.
And your legs are fat, and so they probably rub together anyway because you got fat legs. And I just thought, Glenda's going to think this is awful. I need faded blue, skinny material. Like, you know how the material was kind of faded away, that it was almost gone.
Right.
That's what I needed. Almost translucent.
I love that feeling, actually.
Well, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I said, do you have any like that? And he laughed. He laughed. He said, not that will fit you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
How troubling to a young man.
Yeah. So my wife, how do you like that? I just said mom and wife.
Wow, that's just a Freudian slip, isn't it?
Let's just think about this. Yeah, I said that. Wife, mom. So my wife, who is my mom, she said to him, I'm going to leave him here to try a few things more on. She's going to nip somewhere else and she'll come back.
Right.
So then I tried a few more things on. Nothing worked. I put on some that were super tight. I ended up with these thick, giant, husky Toughskins. The pocket configurations were all wrong. Remember how the pockets used to stick out?
Awful.
Just terrible.
Like designer jeans.
I wanted pockets that were small and thin and you could hardly get anything in. Right. Like a little tight, thin pocket.
I just want room for a pocket watch. That's all I need.
And exactly, a pocket watch. That's what I was thinking. For my pocket watch and my, decorative fob.
And your jackknife, of course.
Well, that I would have possibly had. Anyway, I remember that day as being a watershed day for me because I realized, okay, I have always known that I'm like a little fat kid, and I always knew it wasn't good.
Right.
And I always knew that it was hurting my social status with the ladies, but it was good for fighting.
Sure.
Like I could fight people and win.
That's right.
Push them around.
Yeah,
and
you could just rub their face up against those pants and hurt them.
No, I did not do that. This was prior to the pants.
Ah, okay.
Although I did make a kid kiss my feet once.
Nice.
Which was awful, but I did it. Sorry.
It's an interesting theme that keeps coming up.
Kissing.
The kissing of the feet.
We've had that before.
Yeah. But that's on the
That was a
December
different
episode
podcast.
9. If you want to check
Anyway,
that one out.
I got these pants.
Yeah.
And those were the pants I had to put on.
Yeah.
And I wore them to school the next day. And this was a time when everyone else's denim pants were worn and frayed and whitish.
Mm-hmm.
And my denim pants were like the night. They were indigo black.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to school the next day, and rather than look at me and say, wow, what a nice pair of new pants, I remember people saying, oh, look who got new pants.
Right.
New pants.
Yeah, very, very embarrassing.
To this day, I hate when people say, did you get some new pants?
Yeah.
Like, I don't ever want to have new pants.
Yeah.
I always say, no, I got these like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I pulled them out of a garbage bag just like you used to. So here's the irony. I wanted the clothes that you got.
Right.
I wanted the used clothes.
Yeah, and it kind of went full circle from the used clothes and then getting the GWGs and then going back to the Salvation Armies and all the rest. Like
that's right.
That's where we ended up.
That's where I ended up. As soon as I was old enough to figure that out, I was at the Sally Ann.
Yeah.
I remember, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure before this I was self-conscious, but that was a time where it became so clear that I was self-conscious about what I was wearing. And not because, I mean, it's not that I was vain, it's that I wanted to, I guess I was vain with the razor blade necklace, but I just wanted to look right.
Right.
You know, you want to look right.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that is right, whatever the feeling would feel like, you want that feeling too.
Sure.
You don't necessarily, I mean, yes, probably at that point I did want to fit in, but I wanted to fit in and not fit in at the same time.
Right.
I wanted to look like I belonged, but then I stood out with my fine
which
gear.
is the common thing when you're young.
Yeah.
And which is the birth of every kind of style and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So
you fit in and stand out.
I mean, you fit in. You think you're different, but really, it's you're no different than anybody else.
I want to be different in the same way that everybody else is different. But those damn GWGs, man, those pants were they neutered me.
Right.
And they only accentuated this problem. I mean, literally, they accentuated this problem that I wanted to talk about, that I was getting at today, that I don't feel that I'm ever doing the thing that I'm doing.
Right.
Ever. I'm never doing it.
Right.
I'm always watching myself do it.
Mm-hmm.
So then the frustration is there's this kind of, I don't know if it's Buddhist or whatever, but people say be present in the moment, right?
Right.
And to enjoy the moment and seize that, like carpe diem, and be doing the things you're doing, because you might get killed, like we talked about on the way here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm never able to do that. I'm always self-examining, always cross-examining, always attuning to all the things that are happening around to a degree that stops me from participating in and enjoying what's happening.
Yes. Actually, well,
you say, yes, you are.
Yes, you.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Good night.
That is you. Yes. But and what you're saying there, what I was saying yes to, actually, is that I agree. Like
you do that sometimes.
Not even sometimes. That is actually my natural state, is to be that way. When I was talking machine-like and all that, that's only because I'm busy. But when I'm not busy, I'm like that, where you're always the fly on the wall, observing everything, no matter where you go, whatever you do. And it kind of spoils things, like you're listening to music or you're watching a movie, or you're always thinking about how things are done, or you're thinking about how you might do it, or arrogantly thinking, I could do that better.
Arrogance plays a big factor in that for me. Like people would say, why don't you watch the Oscars? And the truth is, because I'm not getting one. Like, I think on some level, I hate seeing all those other people have all this success, and I'm sitting here watching. And I think part of that is why I don't enjoy watching. Well, that's probably not why I don't enjoy watching TV shows, but like I keep thinking, I could do better than that, or like like it's so arrogant, it's so stupid. Why can't you just turn off that part of your mind and just relax and enjoy? Oh, there's a dumb laugh, let's have it.
Sure. And I think, it's because we do those kind of things as well. So
yeah, but even when I didn't,
right, you're always that way. Yeah.
Like I think it's just the most venial. It's a drive that's almost like you're saying to yourself, two things at the same time that are exactly in opposition. So you're
Right.
saying, I'm good at that. But at the same time, you're saying, I'm terrible. I suck,
Right.
But so you're saying, I'm good to try and counter the voice in you that says that you suck.
Right.
And you're looking at yourself saying, God, look at this fat, short, goofy, stumpy-legged kid. Oh, look, he's talking. Now he's laughing. Look how he laughs. So you laugh, but then you laugh your laugh.
Right.
My cousin Robin does a variation of this too, that he probably has a similar syndrome, whatever it's called, where he's unable to do something without remarking on how he's doing it. So
Right.
if you laugh, someone tells you a joke and you go, then you go,
Right.
like you ape your own laugh.
Yeah, it's true.
And I do the same thing. And so that effectively nullifies or negates any chance you have of that honest enjoyment of stuff that's happening. Or at
Right.
least until you can find, whatever it is.
And it's making me think of an earlier podcast where we both talked about why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Right? It comes right full circle. Like here we are, because we're in our safe little spot, right? It's just me and you. We've got microphones, cameras, and all that, and it's just us talking. And you take on this stance, just like the kid who is dressing weird or thinks he's sticking out from the crowd. You take on the exact same stance, which is, I don't care what you think. We're just doing what we want to do, and we love it. We don't care if everybody's listening or not, and all that kind of stuff, right?
But on some level, you must.
Oh, totally.
Funny thing that is linked to what you just said exactly is how long when you look at all the podcasts that are out there and how many there are,
Sure.
and how long have we said we're going to do podcasts? Like we would have been like maybe the 10th people in, or something silly like that.
It took us quite a while to get.
We would have been so early in.
I know, it's too bad. It is.
It's
We can't.
frustration.
It's one of those things. But you can totally blame me, I think.
No, I blame myself.
Because it just took me that long to get things working.
No,
right.
it's the same thing that I've said to you a million times, that part of this self-critical being outside yourself, this self-consciousness, it stops you from doing stuff because you already decide it's not any good, or somebody else is going to be there first, so it doesn't really matter. I can't do it.
Yeah, and that probably comes from, and it should be the opposite, really, because we should look back at our lives, because we've both had pretty interesting ideas and concepts that you see showing up on screens and in tech stores everywhere.
Say one thing that you thought of.
Well, I can think.
Doesn't mean you're first, but you were an early thinker.
But before iTunes and all this kind of stuff, me and a bunch of guys, kind of dreamed up the whole, really what FauxPop is, 10 years too late, idea, of creating a business model online, selling music online, all that kind of stuff. And if we would have acted on it, it's like you said, if we would have just acted on it, we probably weren't the first at all. But if we would have acted on it, we would have been in that top
you would have
tier.
Your fingers in the pie.
Yeah, and we would have, been the guys working out the problems and maybe selling a company. And there's lots of ideas like that were talked about but never acted upon. But what I was trying to say from all of that, don't mind the belch. Excuse me. Was that really so that thought in itself ought to propel us forward as opposed to paralyze us?
It makes me paralyzed.
Like we should be like, you know what? We're not going to let that happen again.
Never works.
I know.
The other thing that happens that runs at the same time is that, and we've talked about this too, how you think, if you just get to this point, then you'll feel like, that's good. Then I will have made it, and I'll feel satisfied, and I'll think, good job, me, pat yourself on the back. But when you get to that point, you end up going, if I only would have gotten to the next point. So I'll just get to the next point, and then I'll pat myself on the back. You're never patting yourself on the back. You're always looking for the next thing.
That, I think I've come to terms with that. I think that's always going to be the case, which actually excites me. Because what it tells me is that I'll never get to retire, like I'm never going to be sitting around somewhere, which is kind of the problem too, because like you said, you can't just sit and enjoy something.
Right.
So we're never going to be able to be those guys just sitting there.
And relaxing.
That's been a good life.
Well, we may have mentioned this before. I'm sure we have, when we'd go for a walk and see all the people with the big screen TVs, and they're just sitting there on chairs and couches watching TV.
Right.
Have we talked about that in the podcast?
I don't think we have.
Well, I always think, God, I'm envious of that.
Right.
That feeling that you come home from work and then you're just like, oh, now I can do nothing and sit and let other people entertain me. And I just enjoy, all these hours, like hours and hours of TV or whatever they're doing where they just aren't doing anything.
Yeah, it's unimaginable.
It must feel like, how can they feel satisfied? And I'm not saying that, are they dumb that they're satisfied?
No.
How lucky are they that they can be satisfied?
Yeah, it very well could be just that. Like you're going, exactly. Sometimes envy is the best word for it.
Yeah, totally.
I often think that because you look at people's lives that, they're content to go to a job day in, day out, come home and piddle around in the house or whatever. Well, and I'm not saying, I'm like Rand, I'm not saying that critically at all. It's awesome. That's awesome. That's great.
I just see them watching TV. Like I'll see them watching a hockey game or something, and I'm walking by and you'll see somebody like totally sacked out on a couch watching a hockey game. And I think that, how does he have time?
Yeah, that's more.
How does he have time to watch that hockey game? It's long.
But at the same time, I'm thinking, it's taken us a while to get up to the plate here. But now that we're starting to do it, like we're having to make the time. Like right now we're cramming over a lunch hour.
Jamming it in.
Right? And to someone else, they'd think, you guys are crazy. Like you're working, like why don't you just go sit at the beach or something over your lunch hour? But this is maybe our form of relaxation. It's the same thing for us.
Yeah.
As the guy flopped out on the couch watching
But
the
it's
hockey
not.
game.
It is not because of this thing that we're not actually participating in. As we're doing it, we're self-examining it, even in the way we're talking.
Sure.
It's ridiculous.
No, you're right. I'm just trying to tell myself.
Well, obviously you like it. Obviously you like it. You enjoy it or you wouldn't do it.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's that.
Yeah.
But there's some other drive that's forcing. It's by seeing yourself from the outside, you're never satisfied with where you are because you can see the context around you.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if you see yourself from the inside, maybe you always think, oh, this is where I am, and then it's always good. I don't know. I'm guessing here. I'm throwing stuff out.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. There is definitely this unquenchable thirst.
Yeah.
Like within us that no matter what, like there's never these, okay, I've reached this point, now I'm there. Like you always know that even if you attain a certain level of success or whatever you want to call it, that there's always more.
But I'd sure love to have that chance to get to that
I'd
success,
love to have
try that and see what happens.
And to me, it's like I guess that comes from this thing of I just never want to put a cap on anything. Like, you know what I mean? I don't want to ever say that if I reach this threshold, then I'm done. Even though that threshold would be great.
Well, do you remember
reference close to that one?
Reference to the Storming Juno thing.
Right.
So I remember the very first initial talking about that and saying this could be done, and then calling you, and then just quick thing. What we did is we did a behind the scenes for History Television Canada's show Storming Juno, directed by a good friend of mine, Tim Walikachuk, and produced by Tim Walikachuk, and it was done through E1 and History Television. And I pitched him on the idea of us doing some behind the scenes. So we did some behind the scenes, but I was in a hospital bed, so Mark ran the show pretty much. And so there we are, having this thing and no idea what's going to happen or if anyone's going to want it or whatever. And then having this idea that, it'd be nice if this or that happened. Well, it kind of all did happen in a way, didn't it?
Yeah.
So it ends up on the DVD, or it looks like it's going to end up on the DVD, the 20-minute behind the scenes that we shot.
Yeah.
And then there was kind of a sense of that being an end point, right?
Right.
But you don't feel anything when you get to the end point. It's not like something's done. You don't feel like there's a sliver that is removed, or that there's no one's patting you on the back, or a checkered flag doesn't wave in front of your face. Like somehow you don't have a marker or a rite of passage to tell you the thing that you thought you could maybe do, you did, and now you're done, and now something happened, and it opens up a new gate, and now you're in this new place, right?
Right.
Like there's none of that.
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, everything is really more of a stepping stone.
But it wasn't even a stepping stone. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Right.
It's only in our heads that we feel satisfied.
Yes.
And maybe somebody said that was great, and you did hear great things about the work that you had done.
Yeah, and I was really happy with it, and
it looked great. And we all felt satisfied and pleased and whatever, but that was all our own responses. Like, we had to generate those feelings for ourselves.
That's right.
So it's always like, if you think about someone who's at a very high level of success, like Steve Jobs, and I know we talk about Apple way too much, but
not really. But yeah,
he always like that too. So iPad 2 is announced, and he's already thinking about whatever, and it doesn't matter. iPad 2 is nothing. Well, that was yesterday's news. How come this, color isn't right on this object or that object? So I think that kind of, I guess what I'm saying is that we're like Steve Jobs. We're amazing captains of industry. We're awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute, is that what I just said?
Well, I was just going to say the same thing. We are the true entrepreneuring spirits.
No, we're not. I'm not. No, but what I was getting at is maybe, I guess I'm speculating, maybe he has the same feeling in a sense, or some variation of it. And it's like always looking for some way of knowing that you've done something, or
always trying to up it. Always trying to better it.
Well, that too, but I'm just saying, like, on some level, it's going back to that kid. You're trying to get those pants, and those pants are not going to solve the problem.
Right.
And so, then you think, and then I'll just lose weight, and that'll solve, then that didn't solve the problem. And then it's always struggling to get to something that you'll never get, because you're always outside yourself, seeing yourself in relation to everything else, always critically evaluating yourself, and always coming up short, and always being awkward, or did I say that? Did I say this?
Right. This is interesting. I don't. The thought's kind of striking me that I'm trying to think how to articulate it, but there's a fine line between what we're talking about and then just pure apathy. And being apathetic,
like just giving up.
Giving up, yes, that's the word I'm looking for.
Well, I think there's a huge line between what we're talking about.
There is, but at the same time, the person who's given up is using a rationalization.
Oh, same thing. Well, there's no point. Why bother?
It's the same rationalization to justify it. And I'm not saying that some guys enjoy the hockey game, but other guys are just laying there because they've just given up.
Or maybe the Leafs are playing.
Well, yeah,
and they're big Leafs fans. No, I'll take a piece of what you said and put my agreement into that piece of it. That there is a link there in terms of giving up, but obviously, when I'm at Gerard's because I think those pants are going to do something, so I have some crazy hope.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I have a goal in mind.
No, but the difference is that, that you still have those crazy hopes.
Yeah, that's
where
what
other people don't.
May have given up.
Right.
Okay, these pants aren't what I wanted. I'm going to put them on anyway. I'm going to go to school in these pants, and there's going to be some glimmer of a chance.
What I'm getting at is like those kind of things. Like for us today, right? You and me, you're a little more conscious of it than me, as far as clothes and stuff like that. But
my job is a little more
well, there's that element, but and that'll be another podcast to talk about that. Yeah. But for me, it's like I don't actually care so much about my clothes as I did when I was 13 years old. The things that I care
ideally, yeah, that's good.
The things that I care about, but it's not that I care deeply about a lot of other things. So those things can build up in a person's life. Like, okay, if I get these pants, then I'm going to be successful. And then it's the next thing, and then it's the next thing.
Right.
And what I'm talking about giving up, maybe this is just a word of encouragement to all of us, is like what Rand's saying, nothing's ever going to fill that hole. Nothing's ever going to satisfy. No pair of pants, no amount of money, no anything. But knowing that should never stop you from continuing to push forward and push through and to, to have hope.
Well, I would say maybe get the pants anyway.
Exactly.
But get the pants for the right reasons. Like, don't get them for the wrong reason and then be disappointed and go through that cycle.
Yes.
Like kind of with the consumer cycle, that is what people feel, that disappointment.
Yes.
Well, these pants are all I need. They get the pants, they're disappointed with the pants, they spent too much money.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
So I don't know I know I'm not as good at articulating as Randall, but
oh, come on.
The what I was trying to say about the apathy thing is that it's like people are still they've ceased to try to get the new pants or anything else.
Carry on.
So there's this apathy that says because they've just disappointed so many times, and disappointment comes from this expectation that we put in front of ourselves that if I get the pants, I'll be satisfied.
I'm going to word it differently.
You'll word it better in one sentence.
Not necessarily. I think people keep people do have a certain amount of apathy, but they keep buying the pants because they want the shortcut to the feeling.
Yeah,
so
that's a good way.
So what's happening is that everybody's getting the shortcuts in between, and that's why I wanted the pants, right? I should have been able to convince Glenda, not from the gravel truck, running over my legs, not from these awesome pants or a razor blade around my neck. If I'd been me now, I would have looked at Glenda and thought, I can get Glenda through, effort and thinking and careful planning, right? There would have been a number of different approaches that I would have taken.
Yeah.
And then Glenda would be in my basement and, I would be feeding her carefully, and then everything would have been great.
Yeah.
But the thing that we do is we substitute those in-betweens, those objects or those vehicles for what it is we're trying to get. Oh my God, I already know what you're doing. We find those things to be the goal, or we think that's the goal. Like, I'll get those pants, and then that will be the solution.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know if we made any sense even.
No. I mean,
I don't think we made any sense. Did we?
It doesn't matter.
You're right. Who cares?
If we did or didn't.
We aren't being paid to make sense.
No, we're not.
Are we?
No.
Are you gonna show that?
Well,
this is what I'm going to do. I haven't seen this, by the way.
Well, and I'm actually trying to pre-screen it because we've had a few episodes like last week on the Faux Tech podcast.
That seemed like racism.
That was just...
Listen, I want to say out loud, you and I are not racist.
Not at all.
In fact, if anything, I'm a racist against myself.
Right.
I don't like myself more than I don't like people from other races.
Absolutely. I mean, if there's anything that needs to be fixed, it's in me first. That's for sure.
That's a deal.
And anyway, I also am actually starting to feel the time crunch because I do have to go back to work.
We have to can it out.
So it's a shorter episode, but I'm hoping that next week, when you're in your place of
the place
fun,
I'm going,
the place you've been hoping to go to all your life ever since you're a little kid.
That's right.
That we'll be able to do a Skype podcast, and we'll be able to see if it actually fulfilled your hope. It's in your dreams and the expectation you have.
And here's the thing. Like, I am resistant to some aspects of this place.
Yeah.
It's Florida, by the way. I am resistant, but on some level, I'm looking forward. Like, I like to see my wife and kids have a good time and be happy, and I do enjoy that, and I'm looking forward to that. And once I'm there, I will have fun.
For sure.
It's the concept in advance.
Yeah.
I think, oh man,
everybody
goes there, and it's such a stereotype, and it's such a cram of
But here's the
people,
thing, because of what we just talked about and the way you are,
it
doesn't matter where you are, you're going to have the same experience, and you're going to observe things you wouldn't observe in another place, and you'll learn things and observe things. And
and I'll try to break through, just like I always do, break through that self-conscious problem or whatever, and enjoy it.
Regardless.
All right, let's say thanks for coming out, everybody. Really, we rushed it. And I don't know if the subject matter was a little too intense, like some people might think. This is just you guys are just going having therapy, self-therapy. But that's all right. Self-therapy is good.
Oh, yeah.
It's fun.
Absolutely.
It's fun for us.
Absolutely.
And if you found 3 minutes of fun out of it, then awesome. And if you didn't, then awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll catch you on the flip, guys.
We'll catch you.
Mark's going to take us out with some dolphin swimming here.
If I can get this mute to turn on.
He's just trying to mute it up.
There we go.
Here he goes. Let's check it out.
And thank you very much. And
is it up? Not working?
That's not happening here. Play. Thank you.
Well, that's going to look bad.
Oh, how embarrassing.
This moment is really going to look bad.
Let's try it again on here.
He's messing around here, folks, in a way that... Sound.
Oh, we have some sound. And we wanted to not present the ads, so
one of the most unique places in the world here, where you get an opportunity to swim with thousands of tropical fish, hand feed exotic birds, swim with dolphins, feed stingrays, all in one unique and beautiful setting. I think the guests that come here to Discovery Cove are honestly
is that where you're going?
Animals themselves.
Yeah, I think
the actual
so.
spot.
They are not only.
I hope that guy's there.
Look at Jesus is going to be there.
Surprised to be able to swim with so many different fish and snorkel with them and be up close and personal.
He's a handsome dude.
Not only with our stingrays, with our birds and macaws, we even have
cheekbones.
other animals like sloths and anteaters that they get a chance to be up close and personal. So I think as they come into the park, they're just really surprised by the up close and personal interaction they get with all.
I think that'd actually be very interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Be up that close to a dolphin.
Well, if they choose to,
that's the whole thing, right?
Which is at least 30 minutes long. Have access to unlimited to the coral reef and the birdie aviary, things like that. Basically, if you participate in an interaction, what they'll do is they'll come down, we'll have an orientation in one of our cabanas. Our trainer will talk you through some safety points, what the interaction will go through. Everybody will come down into the water here. You'll get an opportunity to be up close with the animals, get pictures with the animals.
That's kind of interesting.
These dolphins do not want to participate. There's nothing here to force them to have to do that. These guys get so much stimulus, I think, here at Discovery Cove, which again is a very unique place. They're not only meeting me for a couple times, they're meeting
I don't like the
different
theme
guest
music
hosts.
very much.
No, so I'm going to fade that. But ladies and gentlemen, that's where the Randall Love's going to be
That's
next
where I'm
week.
going with my family.
We're going to try to do a Skype podcast with him and do a FauxCast regardless. But I've got to get back to work.
Now I have to get back to my work.
So thanks for listening.
Yep. Catch you on the flip. I already said it once, but I say it again. So it's twice as good.
Second ending. It's always good, just like second breakfast.
Yeah. I did have 2 breakfasts today.
Wow. Funny enough. Anyway, see y'all later. Thanks.
Bye.